Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone podcast. My name is Kathy. In our last episode of the continuing series on the Idaho versus Kohberger case, we addressed the fact that the state of Idaho had filed a motion in Limine seeking to limit Mr. Kohberger from providing any alibi defense other than one that came from him taking the stand. And we had stated that we were waiting for the defense's response, and we now have it. Let's see what the defendant is saying here. It says that the state provided the court a list of pleadings to take notice in support of its motion. This is in limine regarding the alibi defense. However, the state failed to provide the court with the full scope of the pleadings. So what the defense is saying here, state, you're only giving the court half the story, basically. Then it says, Mr. Kohberger filed a response to the state's request for discovery, disclosure, and alibi demand on June 9th, 2023, and contemporaneously, that means at the same time, filed a motion for an exception, or in the alternative to extend time for compliance. The state filed a response to our motion, it says here, for an extension on June 13th with an agreement for additional time, and then Mr. Kohberger filed his notice of alibi on July 24th, 2023. This notice stated that at the time alleged by the state that he was inside the King Road home, he was driving his vehicle and not in Moscow. The state filed a motion to compel on July 27th, 2023. A hearing followed, which was held on August 18th, 2023. The state provided a partial transcript of the hearing in their motion in limine that states Exhibit S is in Sam 1. And if you would like to read that, it was filed, ladies and gentlemen, on the 21st of February 2024. Defense continues. Subsequently, speedy trial was waived and the scheduling order was vacated. Pursuant to a new scheduling order, Mr. Kohberger filed a supplemental response to the state's alibi demand on April 17, 2024. Idaho Code 19519 governs notice of alibi and requires specific names and places to verify where a defendant was at the time of the crime. And that's italicized to make it really stand out to the judge. Mr. Kohberger advised the state he intended to offer expert testimony through Ray as partial corroboration that he was driving south and west of Moscow during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. The expert testimony involves cell site location information, CSLI, that we've heard so much about in this case, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Kohberger further advised the state of his intention to cross-examine any state expert in that field. And then in parentheses, objection to state's MIL alibi, Exhibit 1, supplemental response regarding alibi. After that disclosure, the court heard Mr. Kohberger's fourth motion to compel, wherein, among other things, Mr. Kohberger sought further records related to CSLI. Mr. Kohberger called Mr. Ray to testify in this hearing, and the state declined cross-examination. The state provided records necessary to CSLI in various batches of discovery. These records consist of call detail records from AT&T, cell tower lists, and drive data testing. The state provided its CAST, C-A-S-T, draft report, and later a final report. However, no analysis has been provided. The state did not produce a timing advance report from Mr. Kohberger's cell phone. Partial corroboration does not cover the time alleged in the state's charging document or in any affidavit in support of searching and seizure Mr. Kohberger's person and property. Partial corroboration relates to where Mr. Kohberger was during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. And then there's some legal authority that's cited here. Mr. Kohberger has met his statutory obligations of providing the state notice of corroboration of his partial alibi. And attached to this are certain exhibits, including a curriculum vitae of Ray. If you would like to take a look at this document, please go to the public docket. It is dated the 17th of March, and you can read it. This will now conclude this episode of the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. Thank you very much for joining us here today.